Welcome back to Trans Guy Reacts. This is Nick, and I make videos about women's basketball, collegiate or professional. Uh, Today, I'm going to talk about the former WNBA players that are on current coaching rosters for WNBA teams. So it seems to be a reciprocal kind of thing where players will retire from the W and then go on to have careers where they are behind the scenes or being a coach, and it's pretty cool. So I just wanted to break it down, what that looks like right now, um, and what the state of women's basketball coaching looks like. Before I get into it, if you are a new fan to women's basketball, and you only like one player or one team, this isn't the channel for you. There's plenty of other channels like out there that are more welcoming to people who are new and don't know anything and want to teach them. I'm not that channel. You should probably go check out Quita Love Sports. I'm here for people who actually care about women's basketball, and care about the history and the nuance. So if that's you, if you're a new fan and you actually care about history and context, you're welcome. But if not, just dislike the video and I won't come up on your feed anymore, and that would be great for me. If you do like this content, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. I do not allow comments. So let's just get into the video uh, and talk about people who have recently retired. So the most two recent retires were Tiffany Hayes. She used to go to UConn. She's been on a slew of WNBA teams, and then Epiphany Prince. So she just retired on like April 23rd, and now she is working with the New York Liberty. And so when I was thinking about that, I was like, oh, let me look at these other players and what are they up to? What are they doing on these teams? Who's on the coaching staff, and who's also like on the front office, right? Because there's also other positions that are not coaching that former players could be helping with. So let's get into it. First, you have Indiana. Indiana has a couple of folks. They have Karima Christmas Kelly. She's the Indiana Fever assistant coach. I love Karima. I loved her game, but she decided to. I think she played for maybe about 10 years and decided to retire. And now she is married. They have and she has a kid with another dude who's like kind of like an assistant, or he works in basketball as well. I've seen him in the W before, but I don't think he's in the W right now. Um, and then the most recent hire to Indiana was Telly. Oh, sorry, Tully. I can never say her name. Bevilacqua. I can't say her name. She is Australian, but she's lived in the U.S. for a long time. She's married, has kids, all the whole thing. She's been a coach before. She's been an assistant coach, and has done other things. And right now, she got hired as the video associate for the Indiana Fever. Moving on to the Aces. The Aces, technically, the person I'm going to say first is Nikki Fargas, who's the president of the Aces. She's not a former WNBA player, but she was the coach for the LSU Tigers, which is an NCAA team. So there's a little bit of a connection there. And she was the head coach for a long time before Kim Mulkey came over. But the other obvious person is Becky Hammon. Becky Hammon was with the San Antonio Silver Stars, which is what the Aces used to be, franchise. And she did incredible as an undersized guard, and was an amazing player, and then went on to be an assistant coach for the Spurs, and is now the head coach for the Aces, and two-time back-to-back champions. So amazing. And then there's one more person with the Aces, that is Jennifer Azzi. She's a former Stanford alum. She was in the ABL, the American Basketball League, that folded right before the WNBA started, and she also played in the WNBA. She was also a part of that very historic 1996 Olympic team, which went 60-0 in 1 year, and won the Olympic gold medal. And then that was the catalyst for the WNBA starting. So she was an inaugural part of the WNBA. She was on the Detroit Shock, so amazing. But she is the chief business development officer, so she's in the C-suite. Moving over to the Minnesota Lynx, you have the associate head coach is Katie Smith. Katie Smith used to be a bucket back in the WNBA. She was one of the want to call the founding players. She started a long time ago, and she was an amazing player, but ended up being an assistant. I think she also was an assistant for the Las Vegas Aces as well, but is most recently working with the Minnesota. Um, you have another assistant coach. Well, Katie's the associate head coach, and then the assistant coach is Rebecca Lamar Brunson. Rebecca used to play on the Sacramento Monarchs, who folded, but they did win a championship. And then she went over to the Minnesota Lynx, and she won several championships there. Minnesota isn't doing as great as they used to be in the past. They're in this rebuild, but they did just draft Alyssa Peely, so maybe there'll be some changes there. Moving over to the Washington Mystics, the associate head coach is Latoya Sanders. She was in the WNBA for quite a bit of time. She retired a few years ago. And yeah, no, to be honest, I don't have anything to say about Latoya. She was a decent player, but nothing really stood out to me. Connecticut Sun, you have the assistant coach is Brianne January. She was an amazing guard. Oh my God, I love her when she was with Seattle. She was like the backup point guard to Sue Bird. Amazing guard. And then obviously she did some. I think she might have done some other coaching with another team, but right now she's with the Connecticut Sun. Moving on to the Atlanta Dream, you have Tanisha Wright. She is the head coach, obviously, former WNBA player, fantastic player, all about defense. Love her game. And her assistant coach is Vicki Johnson, who was also a WNBA player. I think she's a little bit older than Tanisha, so she was in like the more inaugural period, and then Tanisha was like around the mid, the 2000s essentially, the mid 2000s. And then although she's like in the front office. There is Renee Montgomery. She is a former WNBA player, pretty good guard as well. I think she was also a backup point player for Sue Bird as well. She is the partner and vice president of the Atlanta Dream. She's also part owner of the team. So that's I'm not sure how that works with her being a partner and vice president and owner. I don't know. And then Kia Vaughn, in 2023, she was said to be in the front office because she retired at the end of 2022. I don't know if she's still with the Atlanta Dream. I couldn't find any information if she's still there, but I used to love Kia Vaughn's game. She was one of those underrated players, always a bucket. She was really exciting to watch, but very underestimated. Moving on to New York Liberty, the assistant coach is Renika Hodges. She had a great career in the W, but is an assistant now. And then, like I said, I said previously, Epiphany Prince. She is now the director of player relations and community engagement for the New York Liberty, which is great because she's from Brooklyn and they're based in Brooklyn. So this is like perfect for her. She was in the league for 14 years. Epiphany Prince, Piff, amazing player. Glad to see that she's going to be still in the W working with players. I'm sweating, by the way, because I have to turn off everything and close windows for sound. So I live in Mexico and I'm going to be sweating. All right, moving on to the Phoenix Mercury. The associate head coach is Christy Tolliver, which I'm happy for. I was really sad to see. Was it last year with the Washington Mystics? She kind of had this comeback. She had been injured. She'd come back. She was playing great and then got injured again. And that essentially ended her career. And she decided, because that was going to be her last hurrah. And she decided to, she was already coaching for like the NBA. So she decided to go full on coaching now. So she's the associate head coach for the Phoenix Mercury. And then the VP and assistant general manager is Monica Wright Rogers. So Monica Wright, when I knew her in the league, was Monica Wright. She played for the Minnesota Lynx for I think a majority of her career. So she is now the vice president and assistant general manager for the Phoenix Mercury, which fantastic. Now I want to talk about the Chicago Sky. So the Chicago Sky's head coach is Teresa Witherspoon. I basically call her like the pastor. She is always like, she's got pastor voice, always like, giving a sermon essentially. But she was a fantastic player in the W, and she is known, if you ever look up the WNBA and the shot, where she was on the New York Liberty, and it was like, I think game 2 or 3. Yeah, I think it was game 3. and it was going to be a sweep against the Houston Comets were going to sweep New York Liberty. But at the last, literally 1 second, she, I have something in my mouth. She threw up the ball from half court and it went in and they won the game. So she forced a game 4, and that was an epic shot. It was so crazy. And there's a video of it and her like making the shot, falling on the ground, and then like Tina Thompson's going like, "What?" Like she was so shocked that it happened. It was pretty great. Anyway, so the Sky assistant coach is Crystal Robinson. She was in the WNBA as well, and then most recently they announced that Tamara Young, is the new assistant coach as well. She's not on any of the website, but she's announced, I think, via social media. Love Ty's game. She was a fantastic player. Left the W and kind of has done. I don't know. I don't know what I would call what she's been doing. Like just more social media stuff. Doing a little bit of NBA stuff behind the scenes. And I'm glad to see her back as an assistant coach. You have the Seattle Storm. Obviously, the head coach is Noelle Quinn. She was with Seattle for quite a bit of time. Great, fantastic player. Love seeing her as a head coach. Also, I love seeing her as a head coach because she's very soft spoken, and you don't get that a lot from coaches. Usually they're loud and fiery, but she's got a very, very quiet voice, and she's a very effective coach. So, love seeing her there. Her assistant coach is Ebony Hoffman, also a former WNBA player. Fantastic player as well. And then Crystal Langhorn is in more of like a front office role with Force for Change, which is not with the Seattle Storm. It's a like nonprofit that's like a social justice focused nonprofit. She's the director of that, and Force for Change was started by Force 10 Hoops, which is the major owners group. I don't know how you say it, for the Seattle Storm. And then finally, you have the Dallas Wings. And the Dallas Wings, their assistant coach is Courtney Paris. I love Courtney Paris. I've missed her game. She was a fantastic center. Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna say forward now. She was a center. She is big and strong and tall. And she has a sister, and I can't remember her sister's name unfortunately, but they both played in the W for a little bit, and now it's just Courtney. Courtney was like had a longer career than her sister. And then the director of player programs and development is Jasmine Thomas. So she actually just retired last year as well, and she also does like some analyst roles as well for I think maybe Big 10 or Big 12. So yeah, those are the former coaches that used to be players or front office people who used to be players. They're still having a great career in the W, and it's good to see because not only are the spots limited. There's only 144 spots, sometimes less than that. The coaching spots are very limited, so it's always good to see that the teams are investing in hiring former players because who better knows how this game works than them, right? They were doing it. They were the professionals, so I love to see it, and that's it. That is the breakdown. If you like this video, please go ahead and like, subscribe, share, and I will see you guys in the next one.